Hi, today's Mishna Brura is chapter 99, Din Shatui Vishikur Litfilah, the law of one who has had a drink and one who is drunk, as far as the Amidah goes. Number one, Shata Yayin, if he drank wine, Kedei Rivi'it, enough for a Rivi'it, about 90 to 100 mils. Al Yitpalel, he should not pray, Ad Sheyasir Yaino, until his wine is removed. In other words, until he has completely sobered up, has got no alcohol in his blood. V'im shatayoter, and if he drank more than that, im hu yachol ledaber lifnei hamelech, if he is able to speak before the king, im hitpalel, if he prayed, tfilato tfilah, his prayer is a prayer. V'im einu yachol ledaber lifnei hamelech, and if he is not able to speak before the king, Imitpalel tfilato to'eva. If he did pray, his prayer is a to'eva, word that's variously translated, sometimes in its harshest way, is abomination or maybe just rejected. V'tzarich lachzor litpalel, and he needs to go back and pray, kesheyasir yeino me'alav, when he will remove his wine from himself. Ve'afilu im avar zman hatfilah, and even if the time for prayer has passed, mashlim oto, he makes up for it, b'tfilah she'achareha, with the prayer afterwards, kedin shogeg, like the law of a mistake. So there are times, as we'll see later on, that if by mistake you missed a prayer, you can make it up the next time round. But if you deliberately miss a prayer, then you can't make it up so easily. So somebody who misses a prayer because he was too drunk to pray, that is considered like a mistake, and he would be able to make it up. The Ramo says, V'din kriyat shma kedin tfilah. The law of saying shma is like the law of prayer, of the Amidah. Aval shar brachot, but the rest of the brachot, yachol levarech, he is able to bless. Afal pishu shikur, even if he is drunk. Alright, number two, derech mil v'shaina, a road of 1 kilometer and sleep. Kol shehu, even a little bit amount. So in other words, walking 1 kilometer or sleeping, kol shehu, any amount. Mafigin et hayayin, maybe a good word is dalut or dispel. It dispels the effects of wine. Vanimili kesheshata revit. These words, that's Aramaic. Hani mili, when he drank a revit. Avalim shata yoter, but if he drank more than a revit, kol shekain, how much more so? Sheshaina meshakarto v'derech toradato, that sleep makes him more drunk, and the road bothers him. In other words, also makes him more drunk. So if he's if he's had less than a revit, so he can daven straight away. If he's had a revit, he shouldn't daven now, but 1 kilometer walk or a bit of a nap, and he's right as rain. If he's had quite a lot to drink, then the walk and the nap do not help. And these words are when he walks on his legs. Aval rochev, but if he is riding, then certainly the road will dispel the effects of the wine. So then even if he's had more than a revit, but he goes riding on a donkey, he's all good. Number three, that's a good way to sober up, in other words. Number three, kol echad shu shatui, anyone who is shatui, is not quite drunk, but has had to drink. Sagile, sagi is Aramaic for sufficient. Sagile, it is sufficient for him, lefi ma shemargish benafsho, according to what he feels in himself, sheyafig yaino, that his wine has been dispelled, that he's feeling sober. So he's had a bit of a drink, he was feeling a little unsteady for a little while, he now says, okay, it's an hour later, I'm now feeling fine again. We say, fine. The Ramo says, V'lachein, therefore, ein nizharin beyenot shelanu she'ein chazakin. We are not careful with our wines, which are not so strong. Shemitpalelin afal pi sheshat revit v'yoter. We pray even though you drank a revi'it or more, because our wines are not such powerful wines. V'kol shekain, how much more so? If he prays from the Siddur in his hand, we do not worry for a little bit of drunkenness. If it's just a little bit drunk, it doesn't cause us too much concern. The Mishna Brura says, Shatayain, he drank wine. Nire duhadin, it seems, same law. Sha'ar mashkin hamishakrin, for other intoxicating liquids. According to what the Taz wrote later on in chapter 128, Sif Katan Lamed Hey, in paragraph 35, Le'inyan Nisir Kapayim, regarding raising the hands. That's another way of saying the Birkat Kohanim, the Kohen's blessing. Ve'afilu ledata Magen Avraham Sham, the Megal B'Nisir Kapayim, even according to the Magen Avraham, who is lenient when it comes to the blessing of the Kohanim. Mistavra, it is logical. That Tefillah Chamira, that prayer is stricter. Va'aser kamo b'yayin, and that prayer is forbidden just like with wine. Kain kata b'sefer Magen Giborim, and that's what you write Magen Giborim on Shem. Okay. Ulefi data Taz Lakama and Nizkalel, according to the Taz later on that I mentioned above. Lo b'inem b'shar meshkin shi'ur revit. We do not require be'inan. We require. So lo be'inan. We do not require. With other liquids, a revit. Ayin Shem. Take a look there. So the question is, if you're having something weaker than one or stronger than one, what's the amount? Linire. To me it seems, says the Mishnah Brura, de mikol makom, nevertheless, ba'inan she'hebu kedei l'shaker b'revit. We require that there should be in it enough to make drunk with a revit of wine. In other words, the same kind of alcohol content as there would be in a revit of wine. So where you'd have to be careful about this is going from, the Kiddush Bracha on a Saturday to Mincha, or something like that, or from whiskey at the lunch. To mincha on a Shabbos, for example, that one shouldn't have had the same quantity of alcohol as there is in 100 ml of wine. Kedei revit, as much as revit, davke im shata'o b'vat achat. Davke if he drank it in bat achat, one time, one instance. Aval b'shnei vamim, but two times. So he drank half a revit at the beginning of the bracha, half a revit at the end of the bracha, or shem zagor, or he diluted it with a little bit of water. Mutar, that's fine. So he had 60 ml of wine and 40 ml of water. Ve'im shata yoter mirvit, and if he drank more than a revit, b'chol gavne asur, in any manner, it is forbidden. Ad sheyasir yainu me'alav, until he will remove his wine from himself. We're going to come in B'siman Kuf Chet, as we see later on in chapter 128, paragraph 38. All of this is when he is able to speak before the king. If it is not for this, it's not relevant to our matter. That we're speaking about prayer, any distinction. There's no distinction relevant if he's not able to speak before the king. Wine within the meal does not cause drunkenness. Take a look further there. Wrote to call there all of this is according to what he understands in his mind. In other words, you've got to look at the individual level of drunkenness in the person. Sometimes when a person's had some fatty food, he doesn't get drunk so easily. Other people, maybe they will. So you kind of got to judge it on a case-by-case basis. Al yitpalel, do not pray if he's had a revi'it of wine. Even if through this, the time for prayer will pass. Take a look at the end of this chapter in the name of the Yam Shel Shlomo. That now, without this, we do not focus so well in prayer. You should not worry so much to go strict. If through his waiting, the time for prayer will pass. So yes, it's better that you should have focus on your prayer and everything else, but we can't say, I normally have such brilliant kavanah, and now because I've had a bit to drink, I can't really, you didn't have so much, perhaps so much kavanah in the first place, so don't give up your prayer because of this. Until his wine will depart. Even if he is accustomed to drinking a lot, and he does not get drunk at all with just a revit of wine. Nevertheless, he should not pray in the first place. If he drank a revit of wine. His prayer is rejected. Vahave, it is. Ke'ilu, as if oved akum, avodat kochavim umazalot, service of stars and constellations. In other words, idols. It's as if he prayed to idols when he prays when he's so drunk he can't even speak before the king. And if he does not pray at the time of drunkenness, he is saved from every trouble. And that's from the Shas. Kedin shogeg, if he was drunk and therefore gave up the time for prayer, he nevertheless can pray later on, like the law of somebody who missed out by mistake. Even if he began drinking after it arrived its time. In other words, it was time to daven, but instead of davening, he went to have a drink. Now he's had a drink, he can't daven, so he's got to wait till the next time. Can you really say that's a mistake? Sheya savur, he thought that he would have time to pray after he sobers up from the wine, the little amount of wine that he began drinking, with a settled mind. That's what he thought. And afterwards his heart was drawn to the drinking. And he forgot about prayer. And he became drunk until there did not remain for him time to sober from his wine before the time for prayer would pass. Also, this is called mistake. Mikre, called Aramaic. This is called a mistake. Umihu, however, vadai, certainly. Imhu samuch lemincha, if it is close to mincha, v'yavor hazman vadai nishtaker, and the time will pass definitely if he gets drunk. Shelo yuchal la'afig et sheinu b'zman katzar kazeh. He is not able to sober from his wine in such a short time like this. Meizid have, that is deliberate. Lechulei alma, according to all opinions. Ve'ein lo tashlumin, and he has no make-up. He has no way to make up for what he did there. V'din kriyat shema, the law of shema is the same as the law of Amidah. U'virkot kriyat shema gamgen dinam ke kriyat shema. And the brachot of the shema also, their law is like the shema. From the Elia Rabbah, kedin tfilah, like prayer, hainu, this is, da'af shatui asur lecharchila b'kriyat shema. Even one who has had a drink, who isn't yet drunk, is forbidden lecharchila in the first instance, b'kriyat shema, to say shema. V'alevush katav, the Levush wrote, the yesh mekilin, there are those who are lenient, b'kriyat shema, af imhu shikur, even if he is actually drunk. The shiny is Aramaic for different. Mishune shiny. Tfilah, prayer, shu bakashat tzrachav, which is a request for his needs. V'chein katav l'kutei Ramban b'sofo, and so it is written in the Likut, basically means a gathering or a compilation. In the compilation of works of the Ramban at the end. Achain b'vir agro, however, in the explanation of the Vilna Gaon, hirchiv leva'er, he expanded to explain. Divrei ha-Yerushalmi sheyesh b'inyan zeh, the words of the Yerushalmi that there are in this matter. Ulefi dvarav, according to his words, maskanat ha-Yerushalmi, the conclusion of the Yerushalmi, le'esor shikur b'kriyat shema, is to prohibit someone who is drunk from saying shema. Okay, therefore, yesh li zahir lecharchila, you should be careful in the first instance. Shelo lavo lidaikach, don't bring yourself to this. now I'm in a situation because I've had something to drink, and should I say Shema, some opinions I can, and some opinions I can't. Don't get into that situation. Uvediavad, and post facto, im nishtaker, if he did become drunk, ein liftor et atzmo, he should not exempt himself Mikriyat Shema mishum zeh, from Shema because of this. Uke'inyan she'ein shekatav Magen Avraham lekaman, as the Magen Avraham writes later on, Siman Kuf Pei Hey in chapter 185, in Birkat Hamazon, as we'll see with the Birkat Hamazon. Vim yafug yeinu ad shelo avar zman Kriyat Shema, and if he sobers up from his wine before the time for Shema has passed, Yachzor, he should go back, v'yikra haparshiot, and read the parashas again. Aval shar brachot, but the rest of brachot are not strict in this way. Klal bazeh, not at all in this. Av birkat hamazon shimi doraita. Even birkat hamazon, grace after meals, which is the oraita of Torah origin. V'ayin lekam misim kuv pehei u'v'meshik etavti sham. Take a look, chapter 185, and what I wrote there. Yachol levarek, he's able to bless. Aval ein metzarfin oto leminin asara, but we do not join him together for the count of 10. For 3 for a mezuman, it is possible that this is permitted. Shu shikur, whoever is drunk, ein bever agra, taking the gra. Lefi devarav, according to the Vilna Gaon, yesh lahachmir lechatchila b'shikur, we should go strict in the first instance for the shikur. Shani yochal ledaber livnei hamelech, af b'shar brachot, that he is not able to speak before a king, even with other brachot. If a person can't speak to Hashem with clarity and dignity, so then he shouldn't be saying any brachot, says the Vilna Gaon. V'chein katav ha-prima gadim yoredaya, and so too wrote the prima gadim in yoredaya, siman aleph, sif katan yudchet, v'mishpatzot zahav. V'kol zeh, all of this, keshelo yigia l'shikurto shelot, when he did not arrive at the drunkenness of Lot. Drunkenness of Lot is when Lot didn't even realize he was sleeping with his own daughters. He has no idea what's going on. The ilavrachi, if it is not for this, keshotei chashev, like an insane person, he is considered. In other words, once he is as drunk as Lot, then he's considered insane, legamre, completely. The chule alma, according to all opinions. Ufatur az mikol mitzvot, and he is exempt then from all mitzvot. Al-kain, therefore, afilu b'diavad, even post facto, in kara az, if he said Shema then, uvayrach, and blessed, lo miftar b'kach, he is not, again, exempt, he has not fulfilled his obligation through this. Sharei patur haya b'tashah, because he was exempt at that moment. V'chayv achakach lachazor v'likrot levarech, and he is obligated afterwards to go back, say Shema, and say the bracha. Pri chadash ufri megadim, that's pri chadash pri megadim. Now, how do you sober up? Derech mil, walk a kilometer. Bein b'mahalach vein v'rochev, whether you're walking or riding. V'yeshom in v'rochev bin and davka 3 million. However, some say when you're talking about riding, we require davka, particularly 3 million. Mi shachar tor, that when he's had more than a revi'it to drink, then the sleep makes him more drunk. Davka shanemat, that's only a little nap. Aval shayna harbe, but a lot of sleep, mefigator, does indeed sober him up. Aval rochev she'en lo torach kol kach, but sleeping which is not so bothersome, mefiga hayayin, sorry, riding which is not so bothersome, mefiga hayayin, sobers up from wine. Vu sherachuv 3 million, that is if he rides 3 mil. Mikol makom, nevertheless, if he rovayayin, it all depends on the quantity of wine. Shim hirbe lishtot meod, if he increased to drink a lot. Ein derech 3 million mefigator, the road of 3 mils does not sober him up. V'lachein ein zekai shatui. This is now referring back to someone who has had a drink. She'en bo yisur lechatchila. It's only in the first instance that he should not daven. Aval b'shikur she'tfilato ta'eva. But somebody is completely drunk, that his prayer is rejected. Vada, certainly yesh li zahir afilu lididan. Should be careful, even according to us. In other words, with our weak wine. V'tzarich lachzor litpalel, you need to go back and daven. She'en chosheshin, we don't worry. Hainu leyashev haminhag. What he's explaining is leyashev, to justify the custom. The Ramah is bothered by the fact that we don't take this so seriously about the drinking, and therefore he's coming to say, well, there must be a reason why. That it's because our wine isn't so strong and everything. But nevertheless, ein nachon, it's still not correct. He's not saying it's just wonderful, just don't worry about these laws because we drink different wine. Katav b'yam shel Shlomo perek shtein in Beitza, Yam shel Shlomo wrote in the second chapter of Beitza. Uv'yom tov yachol yitpalel mincha, aval bi sheshotek tzat. And Yom Tov is able to daven mincha even though he's drunk a bit. Because it is impossible to wait until he sobers up. Certainly now, that even without the fact of sobriety and everything else, we do not have so much focus. That we should not be particular about someone who's had a little bit to drink. And what he's saying is on Yom Tov, you're going to be having later davening and a festive meal and then coming back for mincha. So if we prohibit somebody who's had anything to drink, then we really are making it impossible for those people to daven mincha. And that's it for today.